Yeah, Griffers, how are you feeling?
I'm alive.
That's all you can ask for, right?
This is a very
So,
Delilah sounding episode.
I was
So tell us your feelings.
I was perusing TikTok, but there's not a TikTok list.
That's
Just
a
so we're gonna.
shocker.
So here's the deal: we're gonna cover two albums today. Anyway, but
Ooh,
Like
curveball.
Go-
we
going
did last
through-
time.
going through, there's this one. I can't tell you who the TikTok person is that I follow, but he's our age, and he's always like putting those TikToks up like, if you're an 80s kid, you'll remember these things. And he'll show like toys or different things from the 80s. Well, this song he had playing in the background, and I totally forgot about this song, and I love it. So here we go.
Can always count on Ryan.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a
man.
great song.
Dude,
Do you believe in heaven above? Do you believe in love?
I totally
Don't
forgot
tell
about
a
this
lie,
song.
don't be false or untrue. It all comes
Now,
back
is
to
this
you.
a one-hit wonder or no?
Open fire on my burning heart. I've never been.
Do you know who this is?
My defenses are down. A kiss or a frown. I can't survive on my own.
It was great.
And you
Contact
do that
High.
again? Man,
Hey, Contact High. I will tell you, it was one of the most euphoric experiences of my life, and I understand why some people would do it, but I just no. I'd be 300 pounds. I've eating sandwiches all day, chips.
Nice. Well, cool. Well, I'll sign.
he took up all the air on that segment, didn't he?
Sorry, man.
I'll
sucked it
sign
up.
us on, and then we'll jump right into these albums.
Wow,
Y'all don't even know
You
what the
didn't even
albums
give
are.
me time to respond to any one of those songs.
Sorry.
Man, I was just gonna say that. I can't even now.
That's how I felt last episode. I felt like, man, Fisher's killing it. So I'm just gonna sit back. There's one episode you literally, like, it was like you did everything, and I was like, this is a nice
That's probably the
episode.
that was probably the Black Album episode.
Yeah, I just had my. I mean, you even did the first listen. I just had my little drink, and this is great.
But I was gonna say more specifically for the second one, one they thought was Panic at the Disco, the Fall Out Boy song. You know, that, at least in my mind, that's like right on the outside of, like right on the edge of where I was still listening to current music, and before moving on to the phase of our life where we like what we like and you don't really listen to anything new. And so that's what, mid to late 20s, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
What I think is cool about the girls liking that music is hopefully it'll turn them on to the stuff that came before it and was what we listened to. I know a lot of high schoolers that either are Katie students or Katie's just known through the years. Here, it seems like in the last year and a half, 2 years, a lot of teenagers are turning themselves on to not what's so much popular anymore, but what was popular when we were their age.
This is true.
Which is 30 plus years, which it flew by in a flash.
Yeah. Makes me feel old.
Yeah, so old that you dye your beard.
Dude, he's got that comb in stuff where he combs it in.
Hey, man, I'm just trying to be like Emmett Smith, man.
That just for men, heck yeah.
There you go.
Hey,
All
you
right.
know what? I don't mind.
What is on tap for tonight?
You'll see. It's going to be great. I'm going to sign us on, and just going to go right into it. It's going to be awesome.
Before we do that, who's got the first listen?
I got it.
Right on, homie.
There it is.
Let's do this.
All right, bro, jam man on the one. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the UNT3 podcast, the music podcast that brings you all music all the time. We're three best friends. Anytime we get together, we just talk anything and everything music. And that's just what we were doing right before we signed on here. We listened to two great tracks. check out some mini-sodes, maybe coming out with those tracks on them. What we like to do once a week, we'll drop a video where we just talk about different topics. And then you'll see videos on YouTube or they'll come up on Spotify. They may be 4 minutes, 5 minutes. We're calling those the mini-sodes. Check those out as well, because those are pretty fun. But man, I'm your host, Ryan Gerfers. Here we've got our true hero, Joel Cox. And man, this dude's been killing it every week. He's been getting it all done in one take every single time. Our editing team hasn't had to go back and edit any of his stuff.
Lies.
He's doing it in one take. Fisher. But I tell you what, that's why our editing team loves this guy, because he does it in one take every time. But man, so if you tuned in last week, we covered 2 albums turning 30. We're going to do the same thing this week. I got 2 new albums turning 30. But before we jump into those, I was going to say this, but while we were talking about, the Fall Out Boy song and the other song I played from the 80s. But we also, after I played those for the girls, for Gabby and Isabella, Gabby had never heard of Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, wow.
And so we went to Movie Trading Company because Gabby wanted us to buy a whole bunch of horror movies for Halloween. So we bought a ton of scary movies. Well, Anna went back to the music section because she couldn't find her Rage album. And y'all are going to crucify me for not knowing the name of the album, but it's the one where the monk set himself on fire.
It's a self-titled.
Yeah.
So that's the album she bought. Well, we got out to the car and we put that album in. And we have, in the Cadillac, the Bose system. So it's the sound system in the car is awesome. So we turn it up.
Little bougie.
And let me tell you something right now. Gabby's face when it kicked in, she went, "What is this? And where has this been my whole life?" She was like, "I love this." And I go, "What is it about it that you like?" And we're like screaming it because the music's just in the background. And she goes, "I just love the aggression. Mm-hmm. They're so angry." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, they're raging against the machine, Yeah. And then I go, "But what is it really that?" She goes, and it's so funny to listen to how 16-year-olds talk now. She goes, "It's so instrumental."
That is sad.
I'm like, man, I go, "Well, yeah, they are playing guitars and a drum, and so
and a drum.
And a drum, it's not all just done on, a mixing board now where they play all the instruments by pushing buttons."
Yeah.
And so
what's so funny about that album is if you watch the Dave Grohl documentary where he talks about getting that knee console, they actually talk about Sound City. Yeah, they actually talk about Rage, and they actually had their friends in the room where they recorded, and they have video of it. And I was like, that is just such a cool, they were playing 2 people. And I think that's why that album sounds the way it does. But I'll tell you this, that album is great. It's a great album. I know Fisher's not the biggest Rage fan, but for me, the second album, the way it starts, Empires. It's something Empire. But that album to me, it just, when it starts out with People of the Sun, I just think that is just, Bulls on Parade. It's just such the first one's aggressive, but the second one just to me sounds so much raw. It just sounds raw.
Yeah.
So. Evil Empire is the name of that.
Evil Empire. Okay, I knew it was something. I knew it was 2 words.
Is that the one with the yellow album with like the hockey
little
player,
kid,
the kid in the hockey jersey or whatever he's wearing?
Yeah,
I gotcha.
But I'll tell you this, and I'll tell you, as far as cover songs, their cover of Ghost of Tom Joad, which is a Bruce Springsteen song, may be one, in my opinion, top 5 best covers ever. So that's just me.
Well, all right.
Go check it out, guys.
Yeah. Rage. But man, hey, we'll get off the Rage kick and we'll jump right in. So 2 albums turning 30. This first one that we're going to go over, we're kind of getting away from the grunge movement. Like we've been covering a lot of the grunge bands turning 30, right? Yeah. And so
We
The
just did
two,
two.
the two I got for y'all tonight, but no, but see, we did
We did
Temple of the Dog.
Soundgarden. We did Soundgarden. We did Temple of the Dog. We did Pearl Jam. We did
When did we
Nirvana.
do Bad Motorfinger? We haven't done Bad
We
Motorfinger
did.
yet.
We did a Soundgarden one.
Well,
Either
we
way,
can
We may have
argue
done a
about
Temple
that.
of the Dog one, but not.
We can argue about that off camera.
it's where those
We'll have
minutes
a
of preparation.
You know what? Damn it, we'll play a squid game to see who's right. Anyway,
I still haven't watched any of that.
I still haven't
BS.
watched it either.
we enjoyed it. But anyway, the first album here. So we're getting away from the grunge, but this one turned 30 March 8th,
A little late, but that's
1991.
all right.
Do what?
It's a little late, but that's all right.
That's okay. It's it's in the birth year, so that's okay. But let's talk about right now, and I'll let y'all take this because I only really know two songs that I'm looking on this track list right now. Let's talk about "Out of Time" by REM.
Geez.
How did I know that you were going with that one?
Let's talk about REM because I'm sorry, but for me, it doesn't get much better than "Losing My Religion."
Yeah, well, I mean, not just the music, but I mean, visually and it was like that's where the stars really aligned for REM. Was on that album.
Yeah.
'Cause document
before that,
number
they were
5.
still-
They were still
before
kind
that,
of that college radio.
Yeah, college
and-
radio band.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is I actually love all the old stuff. It's the end of the world. This one goes out to the one I love. Stand and some
Dude,
of those
I like
things,
"Shiny Happy People" too.
That's on this album.
but Shiny
Yeah.
Happy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on Out of Time. It was supposed to be the theme song to Friends.
"Shiny Happy People" was
Yeah.
okay.
They didn't write it to be the theme song for Friends, because they'd already put it out before Friends came on the air. And when the writers first started writing for the show and whatnot, they had that song in mind for the title track. And then somewhere along the way, they were like, let's do something different, obviously. And they went with the Rembrandts.
Now, my understanding of specifically Shiny Happy People, wasn't that like a joke? Like, didn't he write it as kind of like they wanted a hit and he was like, F you, I'll
Yes.
write this dumb song. And
Yeah.
then, and of course, what I love about not only is that song just really great, the Shiny Happy People, but it also has the B-52s on it too, which at that time, the B-52s, that was their peak.
Just the redheaded
Yeah.
female.
But I
singer.
mean, it was so great because at that time, the B-52s, that was kind of their peak as well. So, because they had their album that came out with
Love
Rome
Shack,
and stuff
baby.
and Love Shack and all that stuff. So, but this is such a
B-52s.
B-52s. But as far
Man.
as this album, I mean, REM, I mean, this whole album it really, and Monster is good and Automatic for the People is good, and those came out afterwards. But this one for me, it was one of those right time, right place,
Yeah.
right time kind of albums because I don't know why, but I could not wait for that album to come out. I'd gotten into some REM. And then when I heard that album was coming out, I was so excited. And then, of course, I would always tell a story about going to get Automatic for the People, writing a check for it, riding my bike up to Target to purchase it. But such a great album. I mean, what do you like about this album, Gervers?
Well, I was going to ask this though. So Ari, the website that I have the track list pulled up right now is saying that "Out of Time" is the 7th studio album from REM. So I mean,
right.
so REM was like big in the 80s then?
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. They were real big on college radio. That's what really kind of broke them. I guess that would be like the equivalent of YouTube or something, being popular on
Okay.
YouTube, right? And then I would say with the album before, Out of Time, it put them on the radar, so to speak. Like, okay, this is a band to watch out for. And then they go and decide that the guitar player is going to completely abandon the electric guitar and play mandolin on the album.
Peter Buck.
Yeah. Like it was just, this album was a big left turn for the band.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of like the Black Album was for Metallica, just that hard left turn. Just, okay, we're not going to do this progressive 100 miles an hour all the time. We're going to pull it back, make it heavy or whatnot. That was what Out of Time was for REM. And then, just like a lot of bands in the early 90s, MTV is what really, because they were political, right? They were part of the Rock the Vote campaign that MTV had and all of that. And you couldn't get away from them at that point. And so,
yeah,
that's my main takeaway memory of this album. And then specifically Losing My Religion, it's an old Southern saying about losing your temper, basically. And I've listened to the song off and on for the last couple of months and just really listening to the words. And what's great about that song, great about the way he wrote the lyrics to that song, is you can apply that to so many different parts of your life, right? The conversation he's having with the other person who's not conversing back to him, like you can have that, you can place those lyrics not just on what a lot of people thought at the time was his sexuality, him coming out, but it's not really about that. It's just about this person who I'm supposed to have some kind of relationship with isn't reciprocating. So,
yeah, I know for me, one of the things that I remember about the album specifically was the video had such imagery to it. But then I remember when I actually got the album, for one, it was sonically different than anything I'd listened to. So, you have Radio Song, which starts off and it has KRS-One. He's rapping on it. I believe, if I remember correctly, Boogie Down Productions is who he was with. It's been a while. But KRS-One raps on it. And then you have, Losing My Religion. You have Low. You have Near Wild Heaven. You have like Shiny Happy. You have, and it was such a, like, sonically for me, it was just like, okay, how do you go to all these places? Because you're right. There's a lot of acoustic on it, but then all of a sudden there's just, distorted guitar in the background doing this crazy weird solo. But the other thing that I remember is I could never figure out what the heck he was talking about half the time. And I remember listening to the lyrics, like, Losing My Religion was one of the few songs that I can actually sing all the lyrics to. Like, I'm not a lyric guy, but I can sing the heck. You karaoke that, don't have to look at the screen. But as I've gotten older, kind of like reading the Bible to me, the words, every time I hear that song, something new about those lyrics apply. Like you said, it's like whatever context you're in, you can apply that song to. But I've come to learn to appreciate that song a lot more lyrically as I've gotten older. But that's the one thing with Michael Stipe is like, is he wearing his religion on his sleeve? Is he wearing his sexuality on his sleeve? Is he telling you what he thinks you want to hear? Or is he just trying to keep it vague enough so you're thinking like, and he won't ever
to all of that.
And the answer is yes to all of it. Yeah, and he won't ever tell you, because as a good songwriter does, he's telling a story, but he wants you to have your interpretation of it. So such a great, are you going to play any songs from it?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, you got to play something.
But before you do, I was just going to say, especially when they decided to make that left turn for this album that they did, that really forced the bass player Mike Mills to, the bass lines he has on this album are amazing.
Yeah,
he's
great player.
He's a great bass player,
great singer too, backup singer.
Yeah, he's
because Near Wild Heaven is his song. Like, he sings that. So
yeah, he's a very talented man. And everything we just said about lyrics and whatnot, that's, there you go.
You might as well
hit play, but I'll let it play.
Go for it.
Talk.
I was going to just say that, when we did our super group, that's why I included Michael Stipe as a candidate for frontman.
I
Hey,
wouldn't be
listen
upset.
to that bass line.
I wouldn't be upset with this being a Friends theme song.
Your wife loves this song, doesn't she?
I'd have to ask. We don't really
I
listen
guarantee
to.
you she does.
I guarantee you she does too. I always get REM, and this is where y'all are gonna kick me off the show. But I always get REM and Blind Melon mixed up.
I can see that a little bit.
No.
That's just good.
It is. It's happy. My
Yeah.
dad. Okay, when I was in high school and I was taking summer classes my freshman year, my dad would pull up to drop me off in the morning for summer school, and as he was pulling up, he would play that blaringly loud. So when I got out of the car, I was shiny, and he just thought it was the funniest. I was like,
That is kind of funny.
damn it!
Yeah.
Like everybody's looking. And of course, you're a freshman, so you're already a little awkward anyway. So.
But I mean, even for a song like that, if you would actually listen to the lyrics of what he was saying, you know,
Yeah.
that's just.
So I'm gonna
I listen
play-
to that. I listen to that song, and instantly all the MTV videos come to mind.
Yeah.
The stuff that, like, the interviews that he did at the time. Like, what I don't think people realize is just we were fortunate enough to grow up in a time when music was so much at the forefront of pop culture and
Yeah.
drove almost everything.
Yeah.
I would say, not that he needed a lot of help, but I would say the push by MTV and music is what got Bill Clinton elected as president,
Mhm.
right? Him
That's true.
identifying with that age group. And
Well, Obama did the same thing when he was elected. He knew
Right.
how to connect with the young people. So I mean, it's
not that young people historically turn out to vote in large numbers, but you know,
what they did in those elections, and they seized the day on that. But I do agree with you that there was probably some assistance.
and I'm not saying that the assistance was intentional. It was just that it was such at the forefront at the time that
they just connected. It just those two things
everywhere
connected.
everywhere you turned, you know, whether it be in public or on TV, especially on TV, right? Because growing up then, MTV was the voice, was the gatekeeper of what was popular, if you will, right? And
Mhm.
you know, just you look at the way videos were shot back then, the way TV shows were shot back then, they were all very similar, had very similar music. Like you listen to the Rembrandt's theme song for Friends, and it's very sonically very much alike, similar is what I'm trying to say, similar to what we just listened to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely. Hey, can you play a little bit of like Low or something? Because I mean,
Yeah, well, I'll get to that. But what I was going to play next.
Mhm.
So, the website I'm looking at right now with the song, with the track list on it, it's genius.com, and it looks like these are like views or downloads or something. I don't know, but anyway, so Losing My Religion is top with like
course.
632K, right?
yeah. Okay.
And Shiny Happy People was 58.2. I'm going to play the third that has
Okay.
24K and see if y'all can at least name the song.
Okay.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It is.
Your hair curl tight, you come to me, musicians.
You said this is the third most downloaded.
On this website, it's got the 24K, which is the third highest number on the thing.
You wear me out.
What's
We've
the one
been
after this?
through breakdown, self.
Yeah, he was about to drop the F bomb.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he self harm, F off.
So, do you want me to play it or just tell you?
Just tell me.
Half a
Oh.
World Away.
Okay.
Nice.
And then Joel, you wanted to hear Low?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that song is also a good example, but I love how they got this really chill thing happening. And then you have this crazy, just free form guitar in the background, and Low is kind of the similar kind of, you just play a snippet of it.
There
It's
we
a
go.
Low, it's literally a Low song too. Just
Dusk is dawn, stay. Where did it go?
Sounds like something Ezra would have written back then.
yeah, no, really.
Fast and slow.
But that just goes back to the point I was just making about how
Still
prevalent all of this was at that time.
Howling at the moon.
Is this about how exciting this song gets?
No, it builds up a little bit. There's no drums. It does build up in the chorus
Okay.
a little bit, but
Well, before we move on to the next album, we should probably play the most popular one.
I was just about to. You literally stole the words right out of my mouth.
but
So-
hey, real quick, you are 100% correct. One of Ezra's biggest influences is Michael Stipe, and
it's very apparent.
and you can
very.
hear it not just in the lyrical and the ideas, because Ezra would say, I hear something like this, and then we'd write towards that. But also just his tonality as well, especially when he gets high. I mean, that's totally Ezra. So
All right. Well, so we'll finish REM out on the big one.
The
Here we
big
go.
one.
Dude, I love this. As soon as you hear it, in the words of Steve Harvey, your ass just lights up.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let me just listen to the bass line in this song.
Oh, life is bigger. It's bigger than you are not me. The links that I will go to, the distance in your eyes. Oh no, I've said too much. I set it up. That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight, losing my religion.
You should play this for the girls.
Yeah. I know Belle's heard this.
And I don't know.
This
if
reminds
I
me of us
can
sitting
do
and
it.
playing this on Rock Band.
Oh no, too much. I haven't said enough. I thought that I heard you laughing. I thought that I heard you sing. I think I thought I saw you try. Every whisper.
So
Dude.
good.
so great.
You should play them that song and hand them a lyric sheet and let them read the lyrics along
Yeah.
with that. Because that, like,
I'm actually going to print them right now.
I'm very
Your dot
lyric
matrix.
heavy, right? I'm very lyric heavy this episode, but that's the kind of writer he was or is. They're still writing music, but
Oh, they're retired, man.
well, they
REM
still
is-
write. They still
yeah.
write though.
Yeah.
People like them don't stop, right?
Yeah.
even if they're not going to put it out. But I remember watching an interview he gave when they were doing the rounds, for the 30th anniversary. Him and the bass player Mike, and he was talking about how that song in particular, the writing of it, and then the director of the video saying he wanted him to dance, and he was like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
that's not who we are. And the director explaining to him, well, then just move to whatever, make your body move the way the lyrics look in your head or something to that effect. And he said, this would sound really hippie of me, but he was like, it was very freeing for him, right? And it went on to basically put him on the path that REM took from that point on. And you can hear it in the music, you can hear it in his lyrics and the way he sings them about like, okay, I'm putting this part of me behind me forever now, and I'm doing it this way. It's powerful stuff if you really stop and think about it.
Yeah.
That's why I said print out the lyrics and let them
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
read the
And he
lyrics
could do
as
that
they
with
hear
all
them.
of his lyrics, man. Not just
Yeah.
that's a good example, but just everything. But so Ryan, do you know what REM stands for?
No, he does.
It's not rapid eye movement. I'm assuming it's not REM sleep. What is it?
Fisher, do you know?
I did at one point.
It's supposedly it stands for regular everyday musicians.
Well, there you go.
Supposedly.
I can see that.
And which explains a lot, because I mean, and that's another thing with MTV, they weren't the prettiest looking guys. I mean, not to be like rude to any of them, but I mean, they did not look like all the other bands that were out there. They didn't have the long hair. They didn't have the grunge outfits. They weren't metalheads.
But,
they weren't pop, but they were like,
he's done cutting.
yeah, I was just going to say, but that's who they were. Like, that's what they look like. And before because I do want you to comment on it. The other thing I think of is the MTV acceptance speech where he had like the 10 or 15 different shirts on. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I remember
and as
that.
he's accepted, like when I hear
He's
that
taking it
song
off.
and he's taking the shirts off and each of them have some kind of political statement on it. That's another thing. There's a lot of things I think of, but that's one of the things too. But
I was going to say that, when you said, okay, we're going to kind of get away from the grunge and go to that's just as grunge as Nirvana's Nevermind in my mind.
Yeah.
And Kurt and Michael became really good friends before Kurt passed away. And that REM was a huge influence on Nirvana, especially Kurt Cobain. And
how to deal with fame.
Right.
Like he reached out to him to help him.
Right, exactly. And Kurt Cobain considered them to be just as, if not more grunge than Nirvana. So just like with metal, it's not just the way it sounds, it's the attitude, it's the feeling, the emotions behind it. So
well, there we go. And before we run out of time, we'll
look what you did.
You know,
look what you did.
I'll see myself out.
The rainbow, the more you know.
But no, so we'll move on to the next one.
Joke.
Yeah, great.
So we'll move on to the next one, but the next one for sure is not part of the grunge scene. And I'll just put it this way. There would be no UNT3 podcast if this artist didn't exist. And so we're just going to jump right into this one.
Are you going to play it?
No, I'll tell you what it is. Okay. It will turn 30 on November 26th. And this will be Michael Jackson's Dangerous.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, man, we're going deep.
Dangerous, man. You're not going to hear me wax poetically about it as much as you just heard me. We're out of time.
Well, but you know what? Like
there are some good songs on that album.
There are good songs on it.
Not a whole lot, but there are some.
So this is saying that this is Michael Jackson's 8th studio album. So I mean, how do you like, but for real though, how do you follow up like Thriller and Beat It and those? Like, how do you follow those? And for somehow he still was able to though.
Um,
Well, you know,
sorry.
I love that
Keep going.
I love that he's just laughing. Over
No,
there.
it's fine.
Well, you follow Thriller and Billie Jean and all that up with Bad, right? And that album's pretty great too,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
And
I
this
think
is-
it's just as good as Thriller.
I do too. And almost
Which one?
Bad.
Oh, I thought you
The
were saying
follow-up to it, the
Dangerous
follow-up-
was.
No, Dangerous
no.
came out. Dangerous was the one after Bad, and you could have just said it was Bad Part 2.
It's Bad Light.
Bad Light. Yeah,
It's good, but it's not.
sonically it's a very similar. He tried, but that's what happens when you have songwriters and people who write your music for you, as opposed to doing it all by yourself. Not that he didn't write music and didn't have any input in how the songs went, because if you watch the This Is It documentary, the one that documented him getting ready for his world tour before he passed away, just the way how he took charge and, okay, when we perform this song live, we're going to do it like this, and
Yeah.
the music's, so he was instrumental. I mean, he had say in how his songs went. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
he was trying to hit hit that 3-point shot that he did with Bad, and he almost did.
yeah. He got a rebound with the layup. I mean, it's not bad. Sorry, it's almost dropped my. I had to remind myself. I'll be honest with you. This was not really. I mean, I could talk about Bad and Thriller all day, but like I had to remind myself what songs are on here. There's actually some really good songs on here.
Yeah, Will You Be There is a good one.
Yeah, I mean, you got Black or White. I mean, that had Slash on it.
And Macaulay Culkin in the video.
Yeah.
And what's
And-
his name? Norm from Cheers.
Oh. All non-musical situations, but still great. But I mean, I mean the
That's
first.
that's what the video was.
I mean, the first single was "Remember the Time," right? And that's the one where he had Lisa Marie Presley in it while he was dancing. No, that had Amon in it.
He had
Didn't
and Magic Jordan was in it. No,
Yeah.
Magic Jordan, Magic Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, that was a great track. I mean, there's some good songs on here. I just remember at that point,
I thought Black or White was the first one off,
maybe it was.
because it had that's the one with at the time the very technologically advanced ending where it changed people's faces and stuff at the end.
Yeah, and it cost like $2 jillion, and it took
Yeah.
like 13 years to do.
It was like the same program that they used to do.
It's what you could do on your iPhone now.
Right.
Well, then you've got
It's what we do on this podcast every week. But
Yeah, well, it was the same technology that they used in Terminator 2
yeah.
for the Terminator.
well, and then you've got the feel good song of Heal the World.
Yeah.
Heal the world.
You know, I mean, that was the hey, let's kumbaya. That was
Yeah.
like the modern day kumbaya.
Yeah. You know, I mean, that's a great album, but you know, at this point, I was kind of musically like past Michael Jackson. I mean, he's still great, and I still know these songs that are on here, but it's not like it was anything I really like gravitated towards.
But would it be safe to say though, because y'all said this followed up Bad, correct?
Correct.
But wasn't there part of you that was like really anxious to see how well this album would turn out after Bad?
No, because this album has the unfortunate timing of its release, right? Because it came out the same year of all these other albums that we just talked about. And
Yeah.
the pop side of music was kind of being pushed to the side for a little bit.
Yeah, it was
while
on pause. Yeah.
while the grunge movement came in. So, and especially Joel and I, we were pardon me, at those ages where just Joel's learning to play guitar. I'm just really beginning to listen to music, and oh, this is something completely different, talking about grunge and all of that, than what we listened to just a couple of years ago, i.e., being Michael Jackson and music like that. And so his album didn't have the impact on it because that the others did, because when those others made the impact, those people are a little bit younger, right? Maybe still single or whatnot. And then by the time this album comes around, they're older, they've moved on,
Mhm.
or it's kids' music, and they can't really affect how popular things go. And so he just, if he'd released it a year earlier, it probably would have had a bigger impact.
That's a good point. And I think that's a really great point. I really can't add much. The only thing that I was thinking of is kind of piggybacking on what you said is my pop music was guitar driven. Like it may not have been the grunge stuff, but stuff like Fuel and all that stuff that was like, you can sing it, and it was, I mean, you could kind of move to it. Like that was my pop music. And so I kind of gravitated towards that. I was also into, even though I'm not a real lyrics guy, I was into more introspective things than, hey girl, you're hot, or, some of these
Or
other
Save the
things that he
World,
was
like he was
talking.
about.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I was kind of more into relational, the relational songs of the time when he would, like when he did You're Not Alone. Okay, that's a song that I can kind of relate to at that time, but it's not on this album.
But even a song like You're Not Alone, as much as people can relate to it, especially when it came out, just
I was just in a different place. Yeah.
right, the subject matter set against the poppiness of the sound, it didn't have it wasn't as guttural as what was coming out at that time, right? It wasn't as, for whatever reason, there was just a lot of angst in the country at that time, and grunge is what the angsty went to, as opposed to pop music like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
So
I agree. But yeah, I mean, that's, when Thriller came out, there was just nothing like it. And when Bad came out, Bad was a different enough that it was, but then, it's
but
like,
I mean,
all
you can see even in those, especially the track Bad, that's his attempt to repeat Beat It.
Yeah.
Right. Even that album was an attempt to repeat kind of what preceded it. But because it was the album that followed Thriller, there was all this, oh, what's he gonna do next? And right, it had that impact because people were just coming off the memory of Thriller and how groundbreaking that was. And then the thing I remember about, we're supposed to be talking about Dangerous, but we're talking about Bad.
Hey,
The thing that I remember
no
most about
rules.
Correct.
the thing that I remember most about when the album Bad came out was just the promotional push that was put behind that album.
Yeah.
Right. He had that little mini movie that came out that I remember my best friend at the time, we sat in his room all night, the night it felt like all night, because it was the premiere on MTV. And so, we had our bowl of popcorn and our drinks, and we sat in his room and watched. And, that's the Smooth Criminal video and all of those things. It was just,
Yeah.
and even now, I mean, and so again, he just had the unfortunate release date of 91, and he lands dab smack in the middle of the explosion of grunge. And
But it still sold well.
It did, but you didn't have the like, I think because Bad wasn't as groundbreaking in some aspects as maybe Thriller was, there wasn't as much hype going into Dangerous. People going, oh, what's he gonna put out next? Plus, I think it was a while between Bad and Dangerous. I think it was something like 3 years.
Yeah. You know,
So-
and also Weird Al Yankovic, there was no songs on there he could make like a
Right?
parody of. So
Yeah.
that tells you something. If there's not a parody song, Michael Jackson and Weird Al Yankovic, then I'm sorry. That's a letdown. But
Well, it just looking up just now, it says by recent estimates, Dangerous has sold over 32 million copies worldwide,
yeah.
making it one of the top selling albums of all time.
Yeah, of course. Anything with Michael Jackson's name on it was going to sell well. But I just kind of wish he would have gone safe, because I feel like he did Off the Wall, which was his kind of, hey, look at me, I can kind of do this on my own, and it was all happy.
Great album.
Then he goes to Thriller, and Thriller has some, for him, kind of challenging songs, you know, the weird spooky and all this other stuff, and Beat It. And of course, he's trying to show how tough he is. And then he comes out with Bad, which I'm a little tougher. By the way, every time I think of Bad, I think of that video where he's all like, you ain't bad. You don't know nothing. You don't know nothing. It's like, no, stop. And Wesley Snipes is in that video too.
Mm-hmm.
Wesley Snipes.
He's the one he's tripping on.
That's when he was paying taxes. That's before he stopped. I'm kidding. Wesley Snipes, you're great. We love you. Go
Dang.
Blade. But then
He's
you
gonna
have
come passenger 57 your ass.
but then you have Dangerous, and it's like, dude, you've already shown no one should mess with you. Can you lighten it up? Just be the happy-go-lucky Michael Jackson. And maybe that's just me being ignorant to what he was going through at that time. It sounds to me like he was just trying to always prove himself, but you know, because then he came out with the album after that's the one that has Scream on it, and with him and Janet, and I mean they're yelling and breaking stuff, and it's like, that's great, man, but can we just keep it light? Come on, can we be like semi harmless? Come on, why do we have to be dangerous? So, but it's still a great album. I mean, it's still Michael Jackson, and people still came out to see him, and heck, if he was still alive, I'd probably go see him too. So
Why wouldn't you? He was one of the greatest live shows ever.
I saw him once and changed my life. So, but you know, it's funny. I never really thought about it, Fisher, until you said that. But Beat It is followed by Bad, even though there's no guitar really on that song, but like it's got the same kind of
Same attitude.
yeah, same attitude. And then you have Black or White, which is more electric guitar, and man, there's some killer riffs in that section before it goes into the rap. So it's kind of interesting. I never really thought about, he kind of did the same kind of progression on all those. First single is always the one that's kind of like a hitch in the face.
Kind of like Aerosmith, they found the right formula and just stuck to it. Right? You tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not. Hey, if you want to see anything, just go watch the videos on YouTube where they take the country songs and they put them together and they're like identical.
They're the exact-
Or what's that other band, Nickelback? They do it with Nickelback. So,
well, you know,
We're just saying you brought Nickelback up this time. We didn't.
yeah.
I did,
There's something to it.
but I didn't
Just
bring
saying.
up somebody else. But yeah, no, it's good. It's still, I guess this is the thing that sucks about being somebody that's so talented and so gifted, and they do such great work that at a certain point when you're up here so long, you can, I mean, think about it. Anybody else in this world would kill to have that album. Anybody else would kill to have to sell 15 million, much less 32 million. I mean, we are being kind of crappy, but that's also like, I mean,
right. Well,
he was up here for so long. I mean,
Right.
He still is the king of pop, and he's been dead for how many years now? I mean,
almost 10 years.
So, I mean,
but I was just going to say, you know, if you think about why maybe he kind of recycled the same album over and over, if you watch that documentary, This Is It, and watch the live show, I mean, it is basically the same live show he had since the Thriller album.
Yeah.
And, you know, some might sit there and go, well, that's a cop out. Why would you want to do that? Well, so many people around the world, when they buy a ticket to see your show, expect a certain spectacle.
Yeah.
You know, they want to see the Thriller. They want to see this. They want to see that. And you kind of have to. And so he had become just by far and away top of the mountain over everybody else. You know, just okay, this is what's expected of me, so I can just hit repeat as far as what I'm going to put out, and I'm going to sell 30 million copies.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to sell out every single live show I do. That's why I can do 50 shows, charge as much as I want, and make the same kind of money I've always been making. So,
In 1984, our nosebleed tickets were $100. 1984.
Wow.
And that, you think about how long it, because like, think about it. We were thinking about going to a show the other day, and like almost to the pit was going to be like 150, 175. So like, I mean, we're talking Michael Jackson, the Astrodome, nosebleed. We were at the top, $100 a ticket. So, I mean, he was, and people were paying it. People would
that's what I'm
mortgage
saying.
their houses just to refinance their houses just to go. So
he was the last phenomenon that, like, there was Elvis, then the Beatles, then Michael Jackson.
So you don't think somebody like a Bieber or one of these guys is it could potentially be on that level?
No, I don't think so. I think because the market is
so saturated
with people who do the same thing, and there's too much choice as far as.
So not even like a Beyonce or anything like that? I'm not saying we have to agree with the music, but I mean,
no,
her fans are like, you know,
right. But what I'm saying is when the Beatles, or when Elvis, the Beatles, and Michael Jackson, when they left the hotel, it took them 10 minutes to get to the car because so many people were there, posters, cameras, screaming, yelling, all of the things, you know, as soon as they get in the car, pounding on the car as they drive by. Like, you don't really see that anymore, at least not here in America.
Yeah.
Right. Which,
at least not for musicians. Like, the closest thing you have to that are influencers like Kim Kardashian or other YouTubers or something. Maybe like we've gone.
But even them, they don't come close to the mountaintop that Michael Jackson was on.
Yeah.
So get this. So I pulled up this interesting number. So this is according to Nielsen Music in 2019. That was 10 years after he passed away. So 10 years since his death, in 2019, he sold 16.1 million albums.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Like, he's been dead over a decade.
And he's still selling.
Controversies and all, right?
Yeah.
Like, not even the controversies that plagued him would stop. I mean, even if he lost a third of his fans because of it, he's still, you know, double-digit million fans. Like, it's ridiculous.
Isn't it amazing when you look at all the other artists and actors or people in entertainment that have been faced with, let's say, similar. I mean, if we're not to, you know, kind of put a level out there, but what he was being, let's say, accused of was, I think we all can agree, probably one of the most disgusting things.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And yet all the other guys that maybe have done some really disgusting things, they've never recovered. Right. But yet Michael Jackson never really, I mean, it never, his popularity never really waned.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's like crazy.
That goes to the heart of my point earlier about, you know, the expectation level of his albums, his live shows. Like, on one hand, you could sit there and go, well, that's lazy just to kind of put out a regurgitation of the album before. But then on the other hand, you're like, but this is what the fans expect. And whether you consider that selling out or not, when you start selling as many albums as he does and start living life the way that he does and becoming accustomed to that, I don't really care what you think anymore, because I can do whatever I want.
It's true.
And so if I put out an album that's very similar to the one before, so be it. I know I'm going to sell millions of copies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, true. This has been interesting. I mean, this is, I think, the first album that we've covered that we really just
Didn't talk about.
we talked about it, but it
No,
was
you
more.
did. We did.
It was more reflective of. I mean, the thing is, we can only talk about what we're not going to sit there and hey, let me look this. I'm going to make this stuff up. I mean, we were honest. I mean, as far as the 3 albums, actually, if you do Off the Wall, Bad, Thriller, and then this album, for me, this is the 4th one out of those 4.
Yeah.
It's
and
like
then what you also have to remember is these albums, even though they're 30 years old, were what I was 13 when a lot of these albums came out.
mhm.
Right.
I was 33.
I
I was old.
And so all of these perspectives, a lot of them are colored by the vision of a 13-year-old. Right? I can only tell you what.
You're the right demographic.
You're terrible. You are terrible.
I'm
You're fired.
Hey, there was
I just got it, you sick son of a bitch.
there was 2 other things I thought earlier, and I withheld them. I just giggled instead. So
Oh man.
Man, you're terrible.
I
We're gonna
am.
get sued now. Thanks a lot.
I don't think so. If he comes back from the grave,
His estate can sue us. But I'm just saying, that's why I was like, because at 13, I was really starting to get more into grunge than even as a 12-year-old. But, especially when he put out Thriller, because he put out Thriller in 87. So it was right before I turned 10. And so pop music like that was huge when you're that young. And then when you get to be your teenage years and developing your own music taste, he just happened to get this album released when a lot of people that were his fans were just beginning the moving on to something different, a little more substantive, in my opinion, with the REMs and all the other albums that we've covered this year.
True. Well, guys, this has been an interesting. I have to say, as far as covering music, this has to be one of the most interesting kind of descriptions of an album. But hey, let us.
You better bring the heat. We just had, I think that was probably one of the best episodes we've ever done. So you better bring the heat.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to bring the heat, but I will tell you, we would love to hear your feedback. Let us know what you think about REM. Let us know what you think about Michael Jackson, this album. Was it any good? Did you like it? Did you think?
We didn't play anything off of it.
It's okay. They've heard it. It's Michael Jackson. Everybody.
It's Michael Jackson. And I didn't want to play Michael Jackson and then, tomorrow get the email saying your video has been banned from YouTube because Michael Jackson's estate said, so
Yeah,
there you
we
go.
Gotcha.
So I thought I'd do something a little different. We started off listening to Fall Out Boy. So I thought it'd be fun to play a different band that's kind of similar in that vein that I'm sure both of you all have negever listened to. So I'm just going to play it. We'll talk about it after the fact.
Do this.
Here we go. It's going to be about human excrement.
Oh, geez. Oh, can y'all hear that?
That's the Lord's way.
That's God's way of saying, let's listen to something else.
Can y'all hear anything?
No.
Are
You
sure?
can't?
I cannot.
This is so frustrating.
You know what? This is very. There, have we heard something?
Can you
There
hear
it is.
anything now?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
This is very reminiscent of your last Not Called Common show before you officially quit when your amp wouldn't work.
Don't let it go to your head. Boys like you are a dime a dozen. Boys like you are a dime a dozen. She said, you're a touch overrated. You're a lush, and I hate it. But these
This is everything bad with early 2000s.
I'd never lie to you.
It's over. Thank God.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and take a guess at who that was.
Okay, I will tell you this.
Band
Wait.
A through
I'm gonna
Z
give-
No,
I'm gonna give a
from
band
2002
name.
to 2005.
okay, I will say this. If you get this band correct,
I will not get this band correct.
but if you do, I will give you $50 next time I see you.
Yeah.
Out of my
Make
pocket.
You holla.
Well,
I will give you $50.
I'm not gonna get the band name correct, but I'm because I'm gonna make a band name up and
Oh,
maybe something will
geez.
sit. But I think maybe the name of that band is Hangnail that leaves scratch marks on my wrist.
Scratch marks on my scrot.
I mean, dude,
You don't die if that happens.
like that. No, but I don't even have a guess for who that would be. Like, are they a well-known band?
They are if you listen to emo music from the early
Okay,
90s.
so in the early
early to mid 90s.
so that's a 90s band.
Yeah. Mid 90s.
Oh, then I'm out. That's I don't know. That's I Hate My Dad, and they're singing a song called, He Effed My Life Up. I don't know.
They probably wear black nail polish and eyeliner and all that.
No, they didn't. They didn't. They
So what's the name of the band?
that was Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah, I was about to say that next.
And the song is called Your So Last Summer. You're hearing clapping because she likes it. So
Of course she does.
Well, there we go.
It's for all. That music was for angsty white girls. all
did you
over the
hear? She clapped and she goes, slaps. I don't even know what that means.
I like Taking Back Sunday.
Okay.
place. That's fire. It's 100. It's all that.
That's fire. Nice. But anyway, that's Taking Back Sunday. I thought that it'd be fun to kind of play a
Should've
song that's
picked
kind of
better songs by then.
there's a lot of songs, but a lot of people know those
They
songs.
were mid to late 90s, not early to mid.
Okay, sorry, mid to late. Jeez. Anyway, I know where this is
that song made me
going.
wanna cut
So
myself.
well, that's the point. Oh my gosh. Any last comments before we
That was-
round
that
round
was
this
not
episode out?
enjoyable at all. That was not-
Pretty sure that your first listen
Privileges
privileges have been revoked again.
You know, when Fisher, when you said that, it reminds me of that quote in 300 where he goes, "You will not like this. This will hurt."
That's not what he said, but okay.
But you know what he says? Yeah, what does he say then?
He says, "You will not enjoy this."
Okay,
He
close.
was like, "I am not your king."
Oh, I thought he said this will hurt.
No,
I thought he says this will. Okay, I'm gonna look it up later.
look it up.
Okay, you're probably right. You're always
gonna,
right.
You're gonna.
Okay,
Gophers on a
let's just
music- on a
move
movie
on
quote?
to where first Fisher tells me something that I need to go check out. So go look at us on YouTube or whatever.
I
Whatever.
mean,
Just- Fisher, what do you got this week?
I need a cleanser after that.
Jeez.
Like, we just had this beautiful episode where we just expounded on the virtues of REM and Michael Jackson, and then you go and play that.
Well, I got to. We had nowhere to go but down. I mean, the only thing I could play is another Michael Jackson
You
song.
could have played an REM song. You could have played probably not a Michael Jackson song.
Yeah, we don't want to
band.
get blocked. You know.
But you could have played, like Radio Free Europe or something.
Okay, why
Man.
don't we just move on? Just
Check
go.
that song out, by the way.
Okay, yeah, check out all the REM stuff.
Okay, so couple of channels that are cover channels. Someone mute him.
I have control.
I know you do. The first channel is Josh Cohen, and it's a piano covers channel, and I got turned on to him when the 20th anniversary of OK Computer came out, and he did, in response to the 20th anniversary, he did a cover of every song off of OK Computer on piano. And so that's the first channel. It's a really laid back channel. It's a really good one. The one he's got out right now is Pink Floyd's Breathe. I mean, it was 4 years ago, but that's his featured video. And the other band, or the other channel, is, you've heard me mention Pomplamoose before, and Jack's in this band too. He's the piano guy. It's Scary Pockets. Think of him as a funky pomplamoose. So go check
Yeah,
out.
that's the
Scary
second time you shouted him out.
Is it?
Yeah,
I
dude.
couldn't- I couldn't remember-
It's
I
a
couldn't
great
remember
one.
if I'd shouted him out or not. So
Yeah, I
Well,
remember because you mentioned Pomplamoose. By the way, Pomplamoose is also a great channel to check out too. So,
yeah, their mashups are pretty cool.
but I did check out that one, the Scary Pockets one, after the fact because I was very familiar with Pomplamoose, but I didn't know about the other band. And we actually listened to one of their tracks. They're really good. So
Yeah. Well, then since I shouted out them before, I'm gonna go ahead and because I've really been watching it since the release of their deluxe set for their 30th anniversary. Going back and watching Metallica's channel, and they've got a bunch of outtakes and from the making of the album. It's really interesting to see how what they decided to leave out of the year and a half in the life, and then you see the outtakes. You're like, oh, that could have been in the documentary. It made it so much better. Or I see why they left that part out.
yeah,
So
yeah.
go check that out. Trip down memory lane.
And while you're checking all that out, go to our Facebook page, the UNT3, and then check us out on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. No, sorry. Anyway, no, that's everything that we're on, right? Apple Podcasts. Go
Apple
check us out on all
Podcasts.
those things, right? Something we've been talking about for a while, and I think it's going to be time that we do this. And just for the record, it is 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on October 11th, 2021. That way, when this episode drops, you can see how long it took our editing team to get it out to you guys. Just saying. But we've been talking for a while, and I think.
Oh my gosh.
Just saying. I think it might be time to do a Facebook Live soon, so we can
Yeah,
get some
why not?
interaction going, right? And so be on the lookout for a Facebook Live, but check us out on all of those platforms because we'll start posting stuff about dates and times for our Facebook Live. It will definitely be a few weeks from now, just because our editing team stays so busy, and
All the time.
they do painstaking work for this podcast every day, right? I mean, they fit in a cool, solid 5 minutes daily.
If you think
So-
it sucks now, you should see when I don't edit it.
So just given the editing team, and there is no I in team. There's only a JOEL in team.
There he goes.
Thanks,
Will
guys.
I am.
Well, no, man, dude, you do a great job. I'm just
That's
saying,
good. Oh, thanks, man. I
you do
appreciate
a
it.
great job.
You carry the show. You and Fisher carry the show, so I got to do something.
Yeah, well, that's why my back hurts. So, but it is what it is. But man, so we've been saying this. We're still not done with the albums turning 30. MTV turned 40. Our calendar year is coming to an end soon, so we got to fit this stuff in.
Yeah,
So-
and next week is the NCC episode, or
Right.
a NCC episode.
Yes,
with a
so
special
we're gonna
guest.
get some not call common stuff out to you. It'll be good stuff. Until then, keep living, keep loving, keep listening, and as always, keep rocking.
Metal. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Odd pauses, man. Odd pauses.
Odd pauses.
And then
You don't know me. You don't know my life.
You don't know my life. You don't know my stuff. Hey, Mr. Balloon Hands.
Right on.
Mr. Balloon.
so
I hate it when it does this.
Turn it up.
Y'all
that's
really can't
called-
hear anything?
We really can't.
Let's try this again.
It's going down
you
for
hear me?
real. It's going down
Yes.
for real.
I hate that song.
Hold on, hold
I
on.
hate that
I can't
song.
hear y'all at all.
Good.
Y'all still can't hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you. We can't hear the music.
And if he
Hold
can't
on.
hear us, then what good does it do to answer
Okay.
that question?
See. Okay.
This is why it
No, it's him. Never
pays
mind.
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
to check
We-
all your sound.
We've
before you hit
always
the
been able to
record
hear
button.
you. We've always been able to hear you. We just can't hear the music, and I don't
Why'd
think he
it
can
cut
hear us.
out?
Can you
It's
hear
going
us?
down for real.
Oh, there we go. Jeez. Okay, let's try that again.
Bye. Hey, no, wait, real quick before you log off.
Yeah, wait.
So we totally have to figure out a way to do this to freak him out on an episode where, and we can't do it because now it's just you and me on here. But
Yeah.
you know how you're usually over here?
Yeah.
We need to do it to where I go to point to you, and as my hand leaves the screen, somebody needs to be under your desk and have a hand come out to where it looks like I'm reaching through
Or
and
I'm
I
like,
like
oh.
pick your nose or something.
Or like, it's like, oh, wait, we can do this.
Yeah, so it's like here,
Yeah, and then
and as it starts to come, like
actually,
just
I'd have to be like, well, no. Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. That's right. But I have to keep my hand down like that. And then be like,
and then it just goes up.
I can only go so far. I'd have to be real close to the mic, but that would be funny.
But where I just point up through there, and then you just see this hand come out from underneath yours, and it's all like, hey.